Hi everyone, Elle Hackney here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel where I like to speak to everyone in the book world, whether they be authors, illustrators, podcasters, or industry professionals. And today's guest was someone who actually gave me one of my first pieces of advice when I first started writing. I really look up to this author because she's done some amazing things and she's always been very open and honest, and she's extremely talented and now published internationally. Everyone, please welcome Sarah Speedie.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here today.
Now, I love your book, Mozzies versus Flies and Meowster Chef, because Meowster Chef has now been translated into so many languages. It's so exciting. But I want to focus right now on Boss Cat, your latest book. Sarah, tell me all about
It's Boss Cat.
Boss Cat.
Look at that awesome grumpy cat on the front.
Yeah, he's subtle. What about these illustrations?
Oh, Tom Jellett has done the most amazing job. I can't share too much because the book hasn't been released, but look on the back there. It is full of grumpy cat expressions. It's amazing. You can tell that Tom is a cat man and he knows his cats very well.
Now, I know he's meant to be grumpy, but he still looks a little bit on the cute side. So I think he's got that great mix of trying to, I guess, get the character across, but still draw them in because it's still a children's book. And I love the colors. I like how they've used the big orange Boss Cat words on the front.
Yes.
It makes me want to pick up the book.
That is just such a strong cover. Absolutely.
That's a statement, isn't it?
Yes, it really is. You can't miss it.
No, absolutely.
You know exactly
nailed it. Absolutely makes you want to pick up.
Yes, so Boss Cat is being released this time next week. And it's very, very exciting. Like, how do I say it? It was inspired by a cat that I had as a young child, a family pet that we had as a young child. And obviously there's been an awful lot of authorly license taken and things have been exaggerated extensively. But this is definitely the story of Badger, my cat, when I was a very young kid growing up.
And so with this latest book that you have, how long did it take you to come up with the concept and write this story?
Boss Cat actually was one of those stories that there are some stories that come really, really easily and you can write them within a matter of hours and days, and other stories that take an awful lot longer to get that first draft down. Boss Cat was one of those stories that as soon as I had the idea in my mind, I actually wrote it, the original draft, not the whole thing, but the original draft in one weekend. Then, of course, there is a lot of editing and contemplating over getting the perfect words and making sure that the meter and rhyme is perfect. But the original first draft was out in one weekend.
Wow, that's incredible. So with Boss Cat, how did you get it published? Did you submit through the slush pile, or did you have an agent's help?
I have been with an agent for the past 2 years, Fiona Johnson at Beyond Words. And this was one of the first stories that I actually submitted to Fiona and she sent out into the world. So it was actually picked up through an agent. HarperCollins generally don't have a slush pile that I'm aware of. So I was very lucky to get that in through Fiona.
So tell me, how was it working for HarperCollins? Because they're incredibly huge in the industry.
I have absolutely loved working with them. The whole team have been an absolute delight to work with. So professional, so kind, and I am just so thankful to Lisa Berryman for giving my little story a shot in the world and seeing potential in it. And they have been a dream publisher to work with. So it's been great.
First published book, Mozzies versus Flies. Gee, what a hit, because I love the story there, because they're two beloved pests that all households not fussed on. One owns the night, one owns the day, and they all come together in the afternoon for a barbecue. Who wins? How did you come up with that one?
Well, that was one actually came up. My family and I, so myself, my husband, and my 2 kids, and our dog, love to go hiking. and we do a lot of walking together. And that was an idea that came whilst we were out walking one day. And a lot of, as you can imagine, in Australian bush, a lot of flies and mozzies were being quite annoying. And I was at that point where I was stuck for a really good idea. And it just sort of came to me in that day that no one had actually done a picture book about mozzies and flies. And I thought, being someone who loves to write humor, I thought there could be quite a lot of humor in that. So that was another story that was actually written not in one weekend, but it was written fairly quickly after that. The ideas just came together. And that night, once the house was quiet, I started working away on it. So yes, and I have to say, I've got it here. I don't know, as you said, mozzies and flies are not the most appealing creatures, but somehow the illustrator Rebel Challenger has done an amazing job of making them look hilarious and they've got full of character and they're quite appealing.
Rebel's incredible. I like the author with words, right? Your words are always fantastic and they tell a wonderful story. When you add Rebel to it, it just bumps that book up a wee notch. How did you go working with Rebel? Did you guys liaise at all?
No, not apart from a message here and a message there, sort of, giving each other lots of praise and saying, wow, your illustrations are amazing. Everything was done through the publisher. So that tends to be the way with traditional publishing. My world is the words, the illustrator's world are the pictures, and the publisher brings them all together. So we don't generally liaise as such. Now I was going to show you one of my favorite spreads in Mozzies versus Flies, just to show you how amazing Rebel is. Look at those guys. I love that spread. So there they are, the Mozzies and the Flies. Yes, so that's that's the story of Mozzies versus Flies. I was very, very excited when that was picked up off the slush pile. Back in, I think I started my writing journey in 2019. It was probably mid to late 2020 that story was picked up. And that obviously has just changed everything for me. So something that was a dream and a hope and an aspiration turned into reality. So it was great. And it was fantastic working with Larrikin House as well.
And so you started writing in 2019, is that correct?
That's right. Yes. So I started writing, I did a couple of writing courses. So with the Australian Writers Centre, the writing picture books course, and also the masterclass in writing picture books. I was at that point where, as kids, I had been a stay-home mum, and I was at that point where it was time to start looking at doing other things. So whether it was to go back into my old career or move into something else. And I really wasn't inspired to go back into my old career. And I thought this is the chance for me to reinvent myself and do something that I'm really passionate about. So I was really lucky to have the support at home to go and pursue it. And it seems to be coming to fruition, which is really great. But, it was a big leap of faith that I could do it. But
it's such a gamble, but I think what's happened is your talent has shone through. I mean, to have these 3 books out and more on the way, and they're very entertaining books as well, like Mozzies versus Flies, Meowster Chef, and Boss Cat. Like, I think it's one of those sliding doors moments, and I'm glad you did take the risk, because look where you are now. It's so amazing. Yeah, so talking picture books, I ask every author what their picture book memory was when they were a kid. Sarah, what's yours?
Well, to be very, very honest with you, I don't have a picture book memory from when I was a kid. I have very strong memories of Enid Blyton chapter books and reading a lot of Roald Dahl as well. So that was when I was more of an independent reader. But my strongest picture book memories, and probably what has sort of nudged me down this path, were picture books that I was reading with my own children. And I think a lot of authors, probably picture book authors, probably say the same thing. All of the Harry McClary series was a huge influence on me right from the beginning. Myself and my kids, we just loved reading all of the Harry McClary books. So that would be my picture book memories, was from when my own children were very, very young.
Because I have this hope for anyone out there who has a picture book that's been published, that wouldn't it be great if your picture book was someone's picture book memory, because it is so important those early years to get kids interested in reading, so they're wanting to go on to the next level, which are chapter books, junior fiction, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, Sarah, are you available for school visits at all?
Yes, so this year I started last year doing quite a lot of school visits, and this year they have definitely amped up. I am very much available through Lamont Authors and also Speakers Inc. So if you wanted to book me through either of those agencies, I am now taking bookings, and Book Week is already starting to get quite booked up. I'm also doing a writer in residence. I have been for the last 2 years with RDoc, which is a children's charity, which has been amazing. So that's going into underprivileged schools and working with the children on their writing. And been working with Peter with some online workshops as well. And that started this year, and that's taken me into a new realm of getting used to actually communicating and teaching online, which is not something that I have done before, because you're sort of speaking out into the nether and hoping that, and they've been full day writers workshops as well. So, but I've absolutely loved it, really love it. So yes, I am getting out there now. So if you'd like me to come to your school, I'm all up for it, particularly if you're in Melbourne.
And are you available via Zoom for the communities out there that aren't so close to Melbourne?
I am now. Thanks to Peter, I am very experienced with Zoom workshops as well. So I have quite a few of those all ready to go. So yes.
Wow, what a rabbit hole you don't dive down into. And look where you're at now, Sarah. Gosh, since 2019, it's such an amazing journey you've been on. What could possibly be next for you? What would you like to see happen for you?
Really is just to continue what I'm doing now, I think, build up with obviously more books out into the world, doing more and more school visits and library visits, kindergarten visits, because I absolutely love those. And really just turn my writing into something that is, I suppose, something that I could potentially do full time, or at least part time, as earn a good income from, or earn a reasonable income from, would be nice. I really, really love going out into the schools and connecting with the children and the readers, and it's so much fun, and it's really quite inspiring. And then to be able to then come home and write away, it's been great.
And know that you've inspired other kids to
Mm.
not only write and think of their own stories, but to be enthusiastic about picking up their next book, because your books are all about fun and humor, and they're beautifully presented. So do you have any advice for authors out there starting out who would just love to be where you're at?
Well, my biggest piece of advice is definitely keep persevering, keep learning, keep growing, keep honing your craft and getting better and better. Take every opportunity you possibly can. Don't believe the naysayers. Don't believe your internal naysayer. It is possible. You can do it, and just keep working away at it. It's not necessarily, making your dreams come true is not necessarily something that just happens unless you're one of the very, very lucky ones. You do have to work hard at it, but believe in yourself and go for it.
Oh, Sarah, they're amazing words and fantastic advice. So everyone out there watching today, we want to see Sarah keep going further and further. So make sure you buy her books, review her books, swing by her socials, like her posts, share her content, post all the reviews online, and make sure if you are an educator out there or a librarian, book Sarah for a very entertaining book visit. She loves to inspire young readers out there to create their own stories and look for and pick up their next new read. So, Sarah, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate speaking with you.
Thank you very much for having me on. It's been absolutely wonderful. It's always a pleasure chatting.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.